Mariam was 22 years old, and in her neighborhood, everyone knew her as the daughter of a respected pastor. She was a plus-size young African woman with a calm but proud presence, the kind of person whose beauty came from confidence and attitude more than anything else. She had grown up in a modest house where discipline, respect, and religion were the pillars of everyday life. Her father, Pastor Kofi, was known across the community for his powerful sermons and strict moral standards. People greeted him with admiration, and many feared disappointing him. Her mother, Aisha, was the opposite, quiet, gentle, and invisible to many. She sewed clothes for neighbors, washed fabrics by hand, and spent long hours working so her daughter could have a better future. From childhood, Mariam had always been close to her mother. Aisha was the one who braided her hair, wiped her tears, and whispered prayers over her at night. She told her that humility was more valuable than pride, and that a mother's love is the only love that never changes. Mariam would listen, nod, and fall asleep in her arms. Back then, nothing in the world could separate them. As Mariam grew older, things slowly changed. She became more aware of the world outside her home. She saw wealthy girls wearing beautiful clothes, using expensive phones, traveling, and being admired. She started comparing her life to theirs. Her mother's worn wrapper and simple headscarf began to embarrass her, though she never admitted it out loud. Her father's reputation also placed pressure on her. She had to be perfect, respectable, admired. The more she tried to fit into a higher social circle, the more she distanced herself from the simplicity of her own home. At 22, Mariam had finished her studies and started moving with influential friends in the neighborhood. She was invited to events, small parties, and gatherings where appearances mattered more than sincerity. She began dressing differently, speaking differently, even walking differently. Aisha noticed the change but remained silent. She only watched her daughter from a distance, hoping this phase would pass. One afternoon, Mariam received an invitation to a luxury birthday party organized by a wealthy family. It was the kind of event where influential young people gathered. She was excited. She spent hours preparing, choosing her dress, fixing her hair, and applying makeup. She looked stunning. Her confidence filled the room. Aisha stood quietly at the doorway, watching her daughter transform into someone she barely recognized. "Let me come with you," Aisha said softly, "just to see where you'll be." Mariam hesitated. She didn't want her mother there. She imagined the looks, the whispers, the embarrassment. But she didn't want to appear harsh either, so she said nothing. Aisha interpreted the silence as permission and got ready in her best wrapper, though it was still simple and worn. When they arrived at the party, the atmosphere was glamorous. Bright lights, expensive decorations, elegant guests. Mariam walked in confidently, smiling and greeting her friends. Everything was perfect until Aisha stepped in behind her. The contrast was immediate. Guests turned to look. Some whispered, others stared openly. Mariam felt her stomach tighten. Her confidence faded. She suddenly became aware of every detail: her mother's simple outfit, her headscarf, her modest posture. Someone whispered nearby, asking if that woman was her maid. Those words pierced Mariam's pride. Her heart raced. She felt trapped between love and embarrassment. Instead of choosing love, she chose pride. She turned toward her mother, gently removed her hand, and, in a calm but cold voice, said, "She's not my mother. She works at our house." Silence fell instantly. Aisha froze. Her eyes widened, then softened with pain. She didn't speak. She didn't argue. She simply nodded slightly, as if accepting the humiliation. Mariam forced a smile and continued speaking with her friends, pretending nothing had happened. But inside, something had broken. Aisha quietly left the party. She walked alone through the night streets. The silence around her felt heavy. Her heart hurt, but she didn't cry loudly. She whispered only one sentence: "May God forgive her. She doesn't know what she's doing." The next day, the story spread throughout the neighborhood. People talked. Some were shocked. Others criticized Mariam. A few defended her. Pastor Kofi heard the rumors and confronted his daughter angrily. Mariam denied feeling guilty. She insisted she did what she had to do. But deep inside, guilt had already begun to grow. Days passed, and Aisha became unusually quiet. She stopped humming while working. She stopped asking Mariam about her day. She continued cooking, cleaning, and sewing, but something in her spirit had dimmed. One evening, she felt dizzy and collapsed. She was taken to the hospital. Mariam rushed there, panic filling her chest. Seeing her mother lying weak on the bed shook her deeply. The woman she had humiliated was now fragile and pale. Aisha opened her eyes slowly and looked at her daughter. Despite everything, she smiled gently. "I never stopped loving you," she whispered. Mariam burst into tears. She held her mother's hand tightly. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry," she repeated. But Aisha only shook her head softly. "Don't let pride destroy your heart," she said weakly. "Love is more important." Moments later, her breathing slowed. The machines beeped steadily. Then silence. Aisha was gone. Mariam screamed. Her cries echoed through the hospital corridor. Regret flooded her completely. She replayed the party scene again and again in her mind. The words she spoke felt like knives cutting her soul. After the funeral, Mariam changed. She stopped attending parties. She avoided her former friends. She spent long hours alone, reflecting. One day, while cleaning her mother's belongings, she found a small notebook. Inside were handwritten prayers. Every page mentioned Mariam, prayers for her success, protection, happiness. Mariam collapsed, crying uncontrollably. She realized her mother had loved her even after being rejected. Months later, Mariam decided to share her story publicly. She spoke in community gatherings, telling people not to repeat her mistake. Her voice trembled, her eyes filled with tears, but her message was powerful. She explained how pride can destroy the most precious relationships. Subscribe, like, and share this video so someone can appreciate their mother before it's too late, she said during one of her talks. Her story touched many hearts. People began to respect her honesty. She started helping struggling mothers in her neighborhood, honoring Aisha's memory through kindness. Years later, Mariam stood under the night sky outside her childhood home. The air was calm. She whispered, "I miss you, Mama." For the first time, she felt a small sense of peace. During her final speech, she looked directly at the audience and said, "If your mother is still alive, go and hug her today. Don't wait." She paused, breathing deeply. Subscribe, like, and share this video. Let this message save someone's relationship. Her voice softened as she concluded, "A mother's love is silent, but losing it is the loudest pain." The crowd remained silent, many wiping tears. Mariam stepped down from the stage, carrying both regret and redemption in her heart. Her mistake could never be undone, but her story would live on, reminding others that pride can separate hearts, but love, even in absence, can still teach.